Okay. It is Crypto Faceless. I remain faceless. I remain nameless, guys. Back at it again. Go ahead, give me a like on the way in as usual. Let's get into today's video. We got BTC sitting at 64,000. Uh, as of recording of today's video, at least, right? Because this thing changes every second, right? Today, I just wanted to go into the dump that's been happening in Bitcoin, man, and talk about it a little bit because a lot of people are down and out, feeling like it's the end of the world. But in reality, let's talk about what the reality on the ground is. Okay, so yeah, 64,000. Yesterday, we went from 67,000 all the way down to $60,000 per BTC. Now, is that something that is out of the ordinary? Is that something that we're not used to seeing? Is that something that you know what I'm saying, that's not typical for a bull market? Guys, this is exactly what I've already been saying. Excuse me, I've already been saying this like for the longest now. I've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks that we're going to be in between 60 to 70, right? I've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks. We're going to be in between 60 to 70. I've been saying that we're going to be in the lower 60s to mid 60s to higher 60s or upper 60s. The only time I kind of went away from that analysis was when we got that weekly or monthly close, at the end of March. We got the monthly close above 70K, but that only lasted for like a day or two, and then we dumped right back down into the 60s. So the analysis stayed the same, consistent the whole time. We're in between 60 and 70. We dumped yesterday. Yeah, it was a big dump, but we dumped to what? We dumped to $60,000, which is still within the range that I've been speaking about. So nothing out of the ordinary has happened yet. Like, guys, we are used to seeing 30% dumps and even 40% dumps during a bull market. Like previous past bull markets, last cycle, the cycle before that, guys, we're used to seeing dumps that multiple dumps, like 4, 5, 6, 30% dumps, even 40% dumps. Now, yesterday's dump was only a 16% dump. Let that sink in, guys. It's only a 16% dump. Now, that's typical for what we've been seeing this cycle, but it's not typical for what we've been seeing in previous cycles. Now, this cycle, we've seen 10% dumps, 15% dumps, and 20% dumps max this cycle. Now, that could be because of the Bitcoin ETF, most likely. That's our kind of theory. But, you know, we haven't seen the major dumps. So, is it the end of the world? Absolutely not, guys. Absolutely not. It's not even a 30% dump, 16% dump. We're still within the 60s, right? We didn't break the 60s back into the 50s, right? Which is major for me because, like I said, my synopsis or my analysis of the market was that we stay between 60 and 70. And we've been saying that for a little bit over a month now, right? Also, like I said yesterday, in yesterday's video, go watch that, was about Zen. I said that we're like, what did I say? I had a brain fart right now. What did I just say? I basically said that we expect the dump before the halving. We've been speaking about that for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. We expect a dump before the halving. It happens every single cycle. And what we're seeing right now is we're seeing that dump, but we're also seeing it in a special way, and almost like a black swan type of way, right? So if you don't remember last cycle, in 2020, right before the halving, remember, right? We're right before the halving right now. The halving is in 5 days, guys. Right before the halving, what happened, right? What happened right before the halving in 2020? We had the Black Swan event that was, of course, COVID-19, the pandemic. Now, the pandemic was kind of crazy because it was a full-on pandemic, lockdown. Most countries were locked down. And what happened? We thought the world was going to be over, right? Everybody thought it was doomsday. The world was going to be over. But what happened to the crypto markets and even all markets, right? It pumped. It pumped. It pumped. It pumped. It continued to pump. Nothing changed, all right? Nothing changed about the market just because of the pandemic, right? Same thing's happening right now at the same time, right? Right before the halving, we are experiencing a Black Swan event, which is, of course, the Israel versus Iran war, which is popping off right now. Is it going to turn it into a World War III? Everybody's wondering about that. That's kind of like the speculation at the moment. Doomsday scenario, right? So what happens in doomsday scenarios? People get scared. People who have weak hands end up, you know, pretty much, dropping their crypto, whatever they feel to be, high risk assets. They end up dropping them, right? So Bitcoin will be one of those. That's why we see the dump happening as of yesterday. But you can't really make financial decisions based off of doomsday scenarios, right? You don't want to ever have that in your mind. The end of the world. Like, you can't make real, like, intelligent financial decisions if you're always thinking that doomsday scenario, the world's going to end. How can you bet on anything if that's the case? If you're thinking that the world's going to end, you kind of have to think that the world is not going to end, right? There's not going to be a doomsday scenario, right? In order to have any kind of smart investment. So, what we're seeing right now is this. All right, we're seeing the little pre-halving dump, check. We're seeing a little Black Swan event happening pre-halving, same time as the last Black Swan event, COVID-19 pandemic, check. We are seeing halving come right up, and then we're probably going to see prices go up very soon. Now, we do have a huge CME gap building up as we speak. So if you don't know anything about the CME gap, we're talking about the CME futures. They usually, whenever there's a gap in the CME price, like, for example, the price of Bitcoin changes a lot within a short amount of time, what happens is you get a gap in the CME, and it is very high likelihood that the gap gets filled. I think it's like 90% or somewhere up there. Don't quote me, but it's a very high percentage of the gap gets filled. It pretty much always gets filled. So what you're going to see is tomorrow, Monday, when markets open up, we're going to see a price recovery in the price of Bitcoin. That's what we're expecting to close that gap in the CME. And you're probably going to see a recovery in Bitcoin. You're probably going to see a little bounce up in the alt if we do get that recovery in Bitcoin. But as far as the altcoin market and as far as the Bitcoin market, usually what happens is this. After the halving, it takes some time to actually start to go. Okay. Now, we did get a bit of an acceleration like a few weeks to a month ago, breaking through the all-time high. But the price action since then has went back down into the 60s. It's went back down below the old all-time high, which is very similar to what we've been seeing, in previous bull runs. So if we look at the 4-year cycle, what usually happens is after the Bitcoin halving, we see a little, reaccumulation stage, like sideways price action, not really dumping, but not really going up. And then in the months after the halving is when we see a breakthrough of the old all-time high from the last cycle, right? So if we were to play out the same way that other cycles have played out in the past, what we would see is a month of kind of sideways action, and then we would see BTC kind of break through the old all-time high of 69K and up into the 70Ks, solidifying the breakthrough, not just a small breakthrough, but actually breaking through and staying in the 70s. We would see that maybe a month or weeks after the halving, right? Then we would see an altcoin cycle happen sometime in the summer, which is what we saw last cycle. We saw the DeFi summer. When DeFi came out, and there was this big surge in every single DeFi project. Remember, it was the cycle one narrative. Everybody's going crazy over DeFi. We probably might see something like that during the summer. Not saying it's going to be a DeFi summer, but just saying that it could be alt season during the summer. So that's what we should expect going forward. And you have to be strong when it comes to the FUD, when it comes to the sentiment in the market. You got to be strong. Don't sell. Like, I'm telling you right now, you're either buying or you're sitting on your hands. Those are the only two things you should be doing right now, right? I'm telling you right now, I am buying. I'm picking up all of these strong conviction plays that I've been talking about on the channel. I don't even need to go into it. You guys know it. Go watch all my videos. I talk about OSAC, the meme of the cycle, basically the founders of SHIB. It's supposed to go to multi-billion dollars in market cap. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm buying that up, half off from the highs. Well, it's not half off from the highs, but it's significantly down. G-Swap, every single narrative is in GameSwap. We're talking about real world assets. We're talking about AI, gaming infrastructure, ZK, EVM. We're talking about modular blockchain. Beast of a gaming coin. I think it's the best gaming coin that is at such a low market cap. So it's half off from the highs. You think I'm not getting GameSwift? I'm getting G-Swift. I'm getting, just think about everything I've been speaking about on the channel. Flare, Layer 1, Oracle, FTSO, version 2 just came out. They're using AI for security on the blockchain. ridiculous. Of course, I'm picking up Flare. I'm picking up yeah, I'm at a loss for words. I'm picking up every single coin on the channel, right? You know what I'm saying? Like like even the small ones I've mentioned on the channel in the past. I don't even speaking about like RWA coins, like you know, Swan markets and things like that I don't even really speak about on the channel, but I have made videos in the past. I'm picking up all of them, man. I'm picking up all of them because at the end of the day, we're not gonna see these prices again. We're not gonna see these prices again, of course. You know what I'm saying? Getting in Zen, getting in Zen for the X1 launch, and you know, getting the allocation in XN. How can I do that? Through DB Zen is probably the best way. You know what I'm saying? Participate in the burn for DB Zen. You get burn record, and also you get the DXN token, right? Bullish. I'm doing that right now. We've been doing that. Like guys, like, there's so many opportunities. Go find those AI coins that you've been looking at that you didn't want to get because the price was up so high. Get it now. They're down a lot. A lot of these coins are down. Like find ways to get the money, get in at the low prices, because the only way you're gonna remember this dip, most people are not gonna remember this dip because it's gonna, you know, in a few months you're not gonna remember the dip, right? This bull run is probably gonna go on into 2020, into 2025. You're not gonna remember the dip. Let's be real. But you will remember the dip if you were buying right now. If you were buying right now at these low prices, you're gonna remember this dip, right? In 2025, when everything's up and you're up, your whole portfolio is up like 50x or 100x. You're gonna be like, man, I got this coin at this price. That's crazy. Yeah, so anyway, listen, it is crypto faceless. I remain faceless. I remain nameless. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, and I'm out. Take care, guys.